Kind of reminds me of the citrus berry that you see in the video game, of that like last-minute recovery that you can get. But some massive prizes here. Looking at the side of Magnus, both Inteleons. Oh, well, actually, there's a Rapid Strike Inteleon
and Articuno.
And the Shady Dealing Inteleon, where he's got 2 of the quick shooting Rapid Strike Inteleon in his list. So there is an Inteleon in the deck.
Oh, so there is? Yeah, I didn't even realise. Yeah, 2 Inteleons and Articuno. Wow, and a Palkia. Worth noting as well, Magnus only plays a 2/2 Palkia. So as it stands now, he has access to 1 Palkia for most of this game, and he actually leads the Drapion as well. That's probably not the greatest to lead. You won't be using that against Lugia.
And that's the concern with these kinds of lists where they've got a lot of different cards that tech for different matchups, is you don't want to see the ones like Drapion unless it's Mew. And so right now this Palkia list has got a lot of questions around, can it set up? I was looking at this list and it's very different to the way I play it. I try and play very consistency focused, which, as we mentioned, Lugia is so good in this meta that consistency of Palkia still doesn't win you games, whereas this one is very focused around, I have the winning formula for every matchup, but that can affect consistency in these early stages.
Yeah, like we see the sort of, when the Palkia in past formats had sort of 2 variants. You had the 4 VIP Battle Pass variant, and then you had the 1 VIP Battle Pass with the 4 Iridas and the rare candy. And that's the sort of shell that Magnus has sort of built this new Silver Tempest list into. Like we see the 1 VIP Battle Pass, 4 Irida, 2 Royhan, really interesting. I'm guessing that's to make Articuno more easy to use. But yeah, super interesting. It's got 2 copies of Wash Energy as well, hoping to, I imagine, combat the Lost Box matchup a little bit.
Oh, look at that though. The first turn for Lugia, you don't really get much better than that, and getting 2 Archeops into the discard pile straight away. A Lugia in the active, knowing that there's very little chance of a first turn attack. So this is, in fact, looking at the list, outside of little bits of damage here and there, there isn't really an option for that first turn attack, because the Articuno needs 2 energy to power up. You need to get that Palkia VStar in play. So there isn't a Melanie route, because there's no Melanie in the deck. So yeah, it's very much a safe first turn for Lugia, and it's so key in this matchup for Palkia to go first against Lugia VStar, because going second, if Lugia hits everything, I don't think there's much it can do.
Yeah, that Lugia will be taking 2 prizes unanswered most of the time. And worth noting as well, Gunter actually has a soft out to the Articuno with 1 copy of Birdkeeper. And we've seen Birdkeeper be rumoured to, you know, help get around these sort of paralysis options that people are looking to play into Palkia, into Lugia, I should say, you know. Like we saw in Brisbane, there's the Zekrom, which looks to paralyse, and this Articuno as well. And the Birdkeeper just helps alleviate that a little bit. Yeah, good turn from Gunter. Even got the V-Guard down as well. Probably the best energy you want to get turn 1 outside of maybe a capture, so you can draw. But Magnus does have the Irida, so we might even see the VIP Battle Pass come down. And here we see a prize check from Magnus. And let's see if we can spot a reaction when you realise his 1 copy of Big Shady Dealings is prize. That's so unfortunate.
Yeah, might be able to get a hold of it by the time it's needed. And there is the ability to get the 2 basic Pokemon in the prizes out with the Heavy Ball. So the Articuno and the Palkia aren't locked in there forever. And especially as they're right at the top of those prizes, generally players will take from the bottom. So, you know, this is an interesting route now for Magnus, because he is starting second, which is not ideal. Does get that VIP pass, the 1 of. That was the route you mentioned. Yeah. Irida plus 1 VIP pass is very much focused around, if I go second, it allows me to start going sooner, where the 4 VIP pass is more about, no matter if you're going first or second, just getting as much on the board as possible.
Yeah, just more explosion. Here we actually see the real priority here of the Articuno. VIP battle passing it. Turn 1 is gonna has to look at it. I imagine he probably knows what it does, but just wants to confirm, you know, some of the specifics, how much damage it does, maybe, or how much damage it does to itself. And you don't really see auto paralysis often in the Pokemon TCG, so it's a really strong effect, right? You know, locking up your opponent's active, basically saying you can't attack, you can't retreat, you have to stay there, and that can just give Palkia, you know, the turn it needs just to get back swinging.
Yeah, and it's typically because switch outs are part of most of the top deck lists, you know, especially right now. You've got the Lost Engine, which plays countless switch outs. You've got the ability to scoop up net anything that's not a rule box, well, V Pokemon. And then you've even got, like we said, things like Birdkeeper, you know, the Escape Rope, and so many things like that. For Lugia, typically it goes down the attachment of energy route to retreat, because you've got so much ability with the Archeops to attach double turbo energies that they're going to look to manually attach and retreat, and that's where the paralysis has become quite popular right now.
Yeah, Paralysis, a scary prospect if you haven't got said switch now. Which Lugia decks, like you said, outside this one copy of Birdkeeper for Gunter, they just don't have. So here we see a very good start there. 2 Sobbles, got the Articuno down, got the Greninja. I haven't seen a Palkia yet though, but yeah, it might be okay. Might have a way to go grab that. The only problem is that Drapon in the active.
Yeah, it's interesting because he's only got the 2/2 line of Palkia, like you mentioned earlier, and he also has 3 level balls, so maybe focusing more around the Articuno route with a later Palkia strategy.
Potentially.
And so, you know, the favouring over the level balls rather than the VIP pass, to me, sounds like someone who's looking to really get that Inteleon line working. So, yeah, 3 level ball, 2 Evo Incense. Lots of very interesting counts in this list. I wish I could show everyone right now this list because it is a very unique list. Where on the other side, the Lugia VStar list, we all know and love it. It looks very similar to what we've seen before. Anything interesting in this Lugia VStar list?
I think, let's have a look. Got options to play the 1 copy of Hiding, Overheat, 1 Vacuum, 2 Choice. But this seems pretty...
1 collapsed.
Yeah, 1 collapsed, 1 Vacuum. I guess it's just
no
a Birdkeeper. No Crobat, no 2 copies of Luminion actually, just the 1 copy. That's something to think about. But yeah, it seems like a pretty down the middle Lugia list to me. Doesn't seem like there's much spice going on. We do see the turn 2 summoning a star though, getting those Archeops into play with that absolutely table shattering ability of Primal Turbo, getting 2 special energies from the deck. That is absolutely insane. Every time I say it, it still sounds crazy to me. 2 special energies from the deck is madness. And here we see a powerful energy and a DTE. So that is a loaded Lugia V-Star there. Interesting to see if Gunter opts to just carry the active, take 2 prizes, or maybe even try and remove some threats, a la that Articuno maybe.
Yeah, so there's the V-Guard on there, so it does protect it potentially from Palkia if that was a route.
Yes.
But we're likely going to see the Articuno be as disruptive as possible. As we mentioned, Paralysis in this current format is very effective against Lugia V-Star due to the lack of switch outs. 1 Birdkeeper is all it's going to be, and there's no way to. Well, I guess the Luminion's a way to get it out. So you've got Ball Search out to the Birdkeeper, but I can imagine once that's been done once, you know, there's going to be that potential for Paralysis knockouts.
Oh, we do see a research, so no Boss's Orders or Serena actually. Oh, I guess Serena wouldn't be able to be played here. Ignore me. But yeah, so no Boss's Orders. So let's have a look at what the research gives. And this has been a storming start for Gunter. I bet if you're a Lugia player, you can't really ask for a better start than this, right? And
there's the Birdkeeper in hand, so that's available, ready for next turn. Not much disruption on the Palkia side. Opting to go more down the I've got options that you can't deal with route rather than the disruption route. We've seen a lot of the decks from previous formats try and chuck in things like Path to try and disrupt Lugia, things chucking in Temple of Sinnoh.
Yes.
You know, we've even seen Temple of Sinnoh in things like Lost Box and things like that. So
or Giratina as well.
Stadium disruption is a big factor in a lot of these decks to try and counter Lugia, but just the 1 training court here for the Palkia list. So opting to trust the game plan rather than disrupt the Lugia game plan. And right now, there's not much point in disrupting this Lugia game plan because it is full steam ahead. Everything is available. The only thing is that Paralysis that could cause some problems for Gunter.
Yeah, 100% sure. And I guess the start, even as in the prizes for Gunter, could be useful. Maybe, you know, KOing Sobbles after they've been scoop up nets. That's another avenue that Magnus does have to sort of keep in the back of his head, as it were. But Gunter is off to the races, make no doubt about it. This is an incredible start. Yes.
Stoutland threat on the Sobbles. I mean, there's, 3 powerful colourless in play right now. So 1 powerful colourless on a Stoutland would be enough to knock out one of those Sobbles. And so, yeah, there is a lot of options here for Lugia. That Oranguru, so important for consistency.
Yeah, we've seen that Oranguru be used multiple times in so many decks, right? Lost Box, Lugia, such a versatile card. And that's why I said we sort of see in those sort of Mew hand disrupt decks, we're starting to see copies of Judge, Judge is for the most part strictly a worse supporter than Marnie. But when you consider Oranguru's in the format being used in such high quantities, even cards like Judge are seeing play solely off the back of Oranguru, one of the, you know, premier support cards, as it were.
Yeah, it's been around for a while now, hasn't it? And it kind of comes in and out of fashion. It got quite popular recently with Kyurem again.
Yes.
It started to come back into the play, and then it's always a good option in these single prize decks to increase your draw and increase your protection. But seeing it in Lugia has definitely found its value there, as we see the knockout and the Drapion, 2 prizes straight away for Lugia V-Star, and now we start to see whether that Paralysis can stick.
Yeah, that Tempest die KO in that Drapion. I'm sure Magnus didn't really want that in the active to begin with, but he was excited. He wanted to get involved. Thought he played against me, that Drapion, but straight to the discard pile for you, Sonny Jim. Anyway, Magnus is starting to turn off with the Capacious Bucket, grabbing 2 energy. I wonder if we do see the Palkia come down now, because I guess putting the 2 prizes down now isn't as bad because Magnus doesn't know Gunter plays Bird Keeper, but if you was to bench the 2 prizes now, Gunter either, the only outs Lugias tend to play is Bird Keeper or Chevinscare. Either one of them you can't play with a boss, so if you bench the 2 prizes now, it is going to be safe if Gunter does have the response. So the Palkia could be safe if it hit the bench now.
Yeah, and with that Palkia VStar, if it gets onto the board, it's going to be bulky. And 280 hit points is hard for that Lugia to hit. They'll need to use a Yveltal at that point. And if they do choose to not, attack into it with the Lugia and it doesn't quite knock it out, that's when we start maybe seeing the emergency jelly come out.
Yeah, there it is. There it is. There's that emergency. I would love to see that emergency jelly pop. 2 words I never thought I'd be saying this week, had emergency jelly, but
there it is.
Here
on the top
it
of
is.
the deck
There
search.
it is. Well, we see the rare candy, but there is no quick shooting. I mean, no, there's quick shooting. There is no shady dealings, I should say, so maybe the quick shooting. Here we see it at a 2 count, actually. So Magnus really valuing that extra 20 via quick shooting.
Well, I think it's important if they can work out the maths correctly, you do the 70. If you get the quick shootings right, you might be able to finish off a Lugia with the quick shooting and then start paralyzing the next thing that comes into the active.
Yeah, I think you could be correct there. And here comes the Hisuian Heavy Ball. So Magnus will be able to rescue the Articuno or Palkia V out of the prizes. I'm intrigued to see which one he takes here. So I think Palkia might be better since he does play. Oh, he only plays 2 copies of Articuno, actually. And does he play an ordinary rod? There is 1 rod, so I'll be intrigued to see. Which one do you think he takes off this?
I reckon, based off of the game plan he's presenting with the quick shooting, I would say probably the Articuno is the strategy there. Really looking to try and just focus on the Articuno route, because with the paralysis, you don't need to worry about that Star Portal surge of energy because you're going to have enough time to manually attach to the Articuno. So that manually attached Articuno in the active will give time to the one on the bench potentially attached there. But what we did see is the Bird Keeper before, so the counter knockout will be possible here, and that's where we need to start seeing the Raihan in the next turn to build up the next Articuno. So there's a lot of interesting disruption going on here, and that quick shooting is going to go on the Lugia. So if it's 777, 210, it will need 3 quick shooting pings before the Lugia is hit 4 times, and then that 4th quick shooting ping will knock it out,
right,
and then that will reset the active to be able to start paralyzing the next one.
Right, I see, yes. So you can try and KO it and then get the hit on the next one with the maths. So I think Gunter there just doing the calculations as well. You can see him doing the forward and back gestures with his fingers, trying to work out how many times can I absorb this. Maybe he opts to even hold the Bird Keeper. Maybe he doesn't have to play it now, but I imagine you probably would. Let's see what he does.
And so yeah, the paralyzed Pokemon turn to the right. We had a lovely little way to remember it from Alex earlier on. Sleep has L in it, so you turn it to the left. Paralyze has R in it, so you turn it to the right.
Oh, there you go. Full of the knowledge.
I mean, that's Alex. That was all Alex. I just remember him saying it, that's all.
So let's see what good. He's definitely debating what to do. I'm sure he's got that Bird Keeper in hand. I remember seeing it. So hold on. We see Orangu first. It's an interesting decision. That means if you do Bird Keeper, you know what one of those 3 cards are going to be. Remember, Bird Keeper does let you draw 3. It doesn't just switch you around. One of the more premier draw 3 cards. You know, you've got Colress's Experiment is probably the best one, but then I think behind that is Bird Keeper, offering you the opportunity to switch as well. Never a bad thing, especially in combination with Luminion, because then you can turn your Luminions into a switch and draw 3, which is pretty helpful.
Yeah, so with the Articuno as well, you've got to take into consideration, that's what the emergency jelly's for.
The Articuno. Oh, so
there we go.
There
we worked it out.
It's
so you put it on the Articuno. So when it paralyzes, when it does its attack twice, it's on 10 hit points.
Then it heals back up, so you can keep the loop. Yeah, we got there, lad.
That all makes sense. Because I was about to say, well, the Articuno is going to get knocked out eventually.
Yeah, so the emergency jelly means you can just keep paralyzing.
There we go.
Okay, that makes sense.
We've got a game on our hands.
Oh, here we go. See that dangerous Stoutland, though. And that is that double dip Fangs hoping to, take extra prize cards is pretty scary, actually. Anytime you take extra prize cards, we saw, with ADP, Arceus Dialga Palkia, was an absolute force in the meta, and was that the first one is a powerful energy and then a capture. So
you mentioned about the gust effect at the same time as bird keeping. You can't do both in the same turn. So I think hoping that next turn maybe the Articuno... Oh, next he can do it this turn, because the 50 damage to the Articuno means that it's down to 60 hit points. The Stoutland will be able to attack into it now off the back of this bird keeper, and that will be a potential 2-prize knockout there.
And there we go. Do see the bird keeper come close. And I think you're right. Yeah, the double dip fangs will be able to take 2 prizes on this Articuno. And you have to imagine Magnus, Magnus might be prepared for his Articuno to go down, but he probably wasn't prepared for it to go down and give up an extra prize card at the same time, leaving Gunter on 2 prize cards remaining after his double dip fangs. Magnus on 6 prize cards, and no easy way to get a KO next turn either, because there's no Palkia down, so there's going to be no subspace well for KO. Could get a bit rough. The only thing I would say that's good for Magnus now is that most likely Gunter only plays 1 bird keeper, so at some point this paralysis lock will start to keep there, maintain, making it hard for Gunter to even attack, and almost.
So it needs the Raihan here, the only way to get the energy on, and then that's where this quick shooting strategy is so key here. The Stoutland will be the first attempted target for that, so you'll be able to get 210 hit points, so you'll have to get 2 paralysis, which will get to 140, and then you'll have to do 4 quick shootings before you get that third one off, otherwise it will remain the active. So you can see there the first quick shooting's been done. A scoop up net will bring, there wasn't a drizzle under that because that was a rare candied Sobble, so now there's going to be the drizzle route that will start chaining them. And because there's 1 quick shooting in the prizes, he can't have multiple of them out at the same time. Has to really focus on the chaining of them by scoop up net at this stage until he manages to get that other quick shooting out of the prizes.
Yeah, I mean, at what point would you say, is this even still a Palkia? It seems to be a lot more Articuno at this point, right?
Yeah, I think so. It's, we saw Articuno Frostmoth doing well in Brisbane, so I think it has a very similar game plan to this. And I do believe that one had Inteleon in there as well.
Yeah.
I guess there is matchups where the paralysis lock isn't as effective, especially ones with high switch outs like your Lost Box, and that's where you go down the more traditional Palkia route of having a massive Palkia that's really hard to knock out.
Yeah, that makes sense. And we did see the Raihan coming down, attaching that energy, so Articuno will be able to use its Wild Freeze attack and locking up that Stoutland. And like you said, Stoutland, 210 hit points, not the most beefiest of Pokemon by any means, and it's going to get locked up here, paralyzed, and Gunter plays no other switching cards apart from that bird keeper, so all Gunter will be able to do is attach some energy to the back, maybe boss up something just to make it hard for Magnus, but that's about it.
Yeah, so we'll see another quick shooting going down this turn on that second Drizzle in. There we go. And that will get another 20 damage on the Stoutland. And then next turn we'll get another quick shooting off, and then that will put it with 10 hit points left, where we'll be able to get the knockout with the quick shooting, force something up, and then start that chain of paralysis. But that's where Gunter's going to start putting up Archeops. He's going to start putting up Oranguru, so it's going to start slowing down that process and hopefully missing that quick shooting beat at some point.
Yeah, missing that sort of loop to where Gunter won't be able to do anything. Yeah, and let's see what Gunter does. I'll be very intrigued to see what he does, or because he can't really attack. Is that Stoutland?
I think he needs to turn it to the right as well.
I was about to say it should be
paralyzed.
For all intents and purposes, that should be paralyzed. There is no Yume with this arc. Let me double check. No, there is no Yume, so the Stoutland definitely is paralyzed. Hopefully they rotate it at some point, but there it is. Yeah. And whoop, there we go. So yeah, there's not a lot Gunter can really do. I mean, he's in a good position in regards that he's got 2 prize cards left, but if this sort of paralyzed loop keeps happening, he won't actually be able to capitalize at all.
And this is where we start to see the changes in the best deck in format like Lugia VStar each event. From this event and other events going on around the world right now, if paralysis comes into the format and does well, that's where we're going to start seeing more switch outs in Lugia, and that takes away from other options that they like to have. So whether they go for the bird keeper route or whether they'd go down a switch route, maybe having escape rope in there, who knows? There's all sorts of different ways it could be played, but the challenge you've always got with Lugia is it is a draw-based deck. You have to draw through things like Crobat, through Marnie's and Professor's research, and so to have those switch outs in such small numbers, it can be quite tricky to find them.
Yeah, you are 100% correct there. And yeah, the problem is we're similar to how Mew got after its inception come the first regionals back. I think it was at Melbourne, I'd like to say, in Australia, where when everyone started teching for Mew, you know, playing like Galarian Moltres and Path to the Peak. And here we see the emergency jelly actually coming up clutch. So yeah, when you saw Mew have to get into water down, having to start playing cards like Marnie and other cards to, you know, combat the counters, Mew sort of lost a lot of strength there because Lugia's best strength is that it's so inherently strong and consistent. If you have to start playing multiple switch outs and, you know, Chairman's Care and Bird Keepers, these are just cards that don't help your turn 1 and turn 2. And you might see Lugia's power level go down as it does have to start to tech for these awkward matchups. Because as it stands now, if this paralysis lock keeps on going, Gunter's going to have a sad time. So really interesting. Even after the slow start from Magnus, starting to stabilize a bit.
Yeah, and I think the other interesting thing about the Articuno is how many turns you have per game to be able to pull off the paralysis. So with that emergency jelly, it will reset the Articuno, and then from there, we will have another 3 attacks from that Articuno, and then potentially another 3 from the one after that. So the journey is very tricky to map out, and that's where the experience with the deck, which Magnus will have, will help him in this matchup. So you can see just getting that Stoutland up to, I believe that is 100 or 200, so it leaves it on that 10 hit points. Next turn, quick shooting comes in, and we start the paralysis lock on a new Pokemon.
Yeah, just like you said, yeah, not being able to give Gunter a chance, he had to promote something, then Magnus starts again. And like you said, Gunter probably does promote like an Archeops at that point. You know, you're not going to want to feed multiple 2 prizes, but you know, those Archeopses are important as well. I mean, both his Lugias are loaded, but you know, Archeops is the engine for the deck, as it were. And
Archeops is 150, so that's just 2 loops with a quick shooting at the end. So he can start sprinkling that quick shooting elsewhere on maybe the... if they're going to have to knock out an Archeops, that's maybe where you start putting this quick shooting on Oranguru to get that down to a point.
Yeah.
So there is then an interesting route through sprinkling that quick shooting elsewhere. And if a knockout is taken here and that quick shooting is taken straight away, that's where 2 quick shooting are then in play, and that's where you start getting 40 damage per turn to sprinkle everywhere, which is a lot of damage.
Yeah, 40 damage plus the 70 from the Articuno. Like I said, that starts to add up at a pretty fast rate, you know, getting close to almost 2-shot territory, and that's not even taking time. Have Star Portal left to accelerate some energies. You know, maybe we even still see some Subspace Wells to close the game out, maybe even Radiant Greninja, start doing some night snipes, and there we go. We do see the quick shooting KOs as that second quick shooting does become available, like you alluded to.
Do you see that little eyebrow raise there for Magnus as he gets his Inteleon? So he's going to be able to evolve this next Drizzile to be an option.
Wow, interesting promotion there from Gunter. Sorry to cut you off there, but I did not expect his Lugia hit the active.
So Lugia, similar to Stoutland, with the same route of 2 paralysis, 3 quick shooting pings, and then a quick shooting to finish it off.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I haven't really seen what's in Gunter's hand, but he hasn't done a lot. I wonder if he's dead draw a little bit. And this is not the time to dead draw if you're in a paralysis lock, because you're just giving Magnus turns. Like you said, Magnus needs turns to sort of weave in this strategy. And if Gunter can't really, you know, do a lot, then it's going to be hard for him to close this game out.
But what can he do? At this point, it's all in Magnus's control. He has no ability to switch his cards. So you see there the Serena found out the deck with the Drizzile there. So maybe that's a dodge and weave based off of the drawing the quick shooting off, so he knows that he can then finish off that Lugia V-Star. So he's going to get that into the active, so it didn't matter what was promoted anyway.
Yeah. I guess the reason, I just realised, I guess the reason Gunter would promote the Lugia in that sense is that if Magnus hits into that and paralyzes, that gives Gunter a chance to just evolve, get rid of the paralysis, maybe gust and start attacking again.
Exactly.
Magnus closing the door on that opportunity, saying, no, you can't evolve this one. I'm going to guess you haven't got any more Bird Keepers. Let me start the lock here. Fantastic play there for Magnus.
Yeah, and at this point, he doesn't really want to attack into that other Lugia because, like you said, the ability of, well, when you evolve a Pokemon, removes the status condition. So that is the main way for Gunter to get a turn of an attack. Outside of that, he's got to hope that Magnus messes up the maths at some point. And at this point, he looks to be very in control.
Yeah, Magnus immediately spotting that sort of clink in the armor, as it were, of that evolution out and saying, no, not today. So how much health has this Lugia got here then? 120?
So 180. So another paralysis and another quick shooting will put it on 10 hit points, I believe. So we shall see whether the next Articuno is available, because that has to be Ordinary Rod batting to the deck. I don't know if that has happened at any point.
He's prized his Ordinary Rod, though. The ordinary was at the top of the prize cards.
So that's where the next Articuno is not an option. So he has actually powered up an Inteleon on the bench there.
Yeah, and I thought that Inteleon would have become a Shady Dealings, so you have access to Aqua Bullet, but opting to maybe just the Waterfall, I believe, which is 2 for 70. It's interesting, and it's interesting because Magnus can't really put the Palkia down now because the Palkias are 2 prize cards, and then if for whatever reason this paralysis loop stops, like you mentioned, because the Articuno is going to go down and there's no ordinary rod, the Palkia then becomes a big 2 prize target for Gunter to close this game out. So it's not over by any means.
I mean, do I even suggest it? Maybe this deck needs 2 emergency jellies.
Yeah, no, I think you might be correct in that assessment. Like, emergency jelly would be clutch, or maybe a 3rd Articuno or 2 ordinary rods. But like you said, when you've got so many one-offs, though, it's hard to fit everything in. So let's see. There's the pass back over to Magnus, and here we go. There's the hand on the head. You're thinking,
So this Articuno in the active has 2 more chances. After this next hit, will be left on 10 hit points.
Yes.
And again, you know, we talk about all the different routes to victory, and maybe there's just not enough time for Magnus with this Articuno loop, and perhaps he does need to get the Palkia down and hope that there's no gust effect to get around the Palkia, and the Palkia can just take a hit. But then that's where the Yveltal's getting powered up, so there's a lot of thinking that's required here for Magnus. As
not sure if they're speaking to the judges there. Not 100% sure what if anything was wrong. I haven't spotted anything, so maybe they're just discussing something about maybe the paralysis, maybe it wasn't rotated enough or something. I don't think anything serious, but I guess if Magnus can... Oh, okay, so we've just had confirmed there was a slow play warning. I imagine that was on Gunter because it was on his turn, which is interesting. So there will be a time extension there as well. So Magnus is still considered... I guess if he can take this ordinary rod at some point, that would be quite helpful. Because like you said, this Articuno can't keep doing this, was it Wild Freeze, I believe it's called, or yeah, Wild Freeze attack, because it will keep carrying itself, and looks like they're just discussing with the judges leaves. So maybe...
Yeah, I mean, all these things, they're very, very much a normal part of the game, and being able to resolve them quickly and easily through the judges is key. And what we found out there is Magnus did not draw for turn, so once that was checked, he was able to then draw for turn here, and will be getting... Is that off of the Shady Dealing Inteleon there?
Yes.
Getting an Irida and a Scoop Up net. So they are the options available. So we've got plenty of quick shooting available to be able to finish the opposition off. And that's going to be able to... you can see all 4 Inteleon lines active right now. Irida being used. So a lot of controlled search here for Magnus. All I would say is if Magnus can win this game, if there is a route to victory, it's going to be a very challenging thought process. Yes. To think about every single... pull out of the deck off of these Shady Dealings and make sure he gets it right.
Yeah, every decision is going to be meticulous. And here we do see the Palkia coming down. I think eventually it is going to have to try and come down to try and swing maybe into that Lugia V if it doesn't evolve, to try and pick up those last 2 prize cards.
Exactly. So if the final Articuno knockout happens and Articuno knocks out itself, that will be an instant put of the Palkia into the active spot. If it's got a choice belt on it, I mean, it might not even need the choice belt. You've got the VStar still available with the Star Portal. So it's going to be Articuno Paralysis all the way till the end, and then that Palkia to get the final knockout. Kind of reminds me a little bit of that Charizard finisher in the Lost Box, of how you spend that whole time trading, you know, low damage, and boom, at the end, Charizard comes in, finishes.
Then the Charizard comes down and just cleans it up almost, and...
I must say I'm loving this.
Yeah, no, this is an incredible game. I know you've been loving it, because seeing your Palkias come down and all that good stuff. This is actually a really riveting game, and you know, Magnus, you know, senior world champion back in 2018, he's definitely going to be able to identify all these routes to victory. And it hasn't been easy for any player, right? You know, Magnus has to deal with these, you know, awkward prize cards, and Gunter having the Bird Keeper, and you know, getting Stoutland value, and you know, Gunter has had some, you know, keys to success there. You know, got the double dip fangles. I feel as if Gunter's done everything he's had to have done, really. But, you know, he's find himself on the back foot. This is really close. This can still go either way, chat. This can go either way, I promise you. And
we got to look now at the gust options as well, because if the Lugia doesn't get promoted, which I assume at this stage Gunter's not going to put that Lugia into the active spot knowing the Palkia's about, then it's going to be a question of, do you have the gust to be able to get that Lugia up? Because the Articuno cannot last the rest of the game if a single prizer goes up. So that's where we're going to need to see potential boss's orders, because the Serena got used earlier on. There is a PAL pad, So there is potential for that. And then we've also got the Shady Dealings Inteleon, so it can get exactly what he wants out of the deck. And right now the Disruption's not really come through from Gunter. So that Shady Dealings Inteleon is well and truly in Magnus's hand, ready to do exactly what he wants to do.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting because since Silver Tempest, we've sort of seen the Shady Dealings Inteleon engine sort of drop off a little bit, right? We see Mew for the most part, Lost Box, and then Lugia. But here we're seeing, just let's not forget, the Inteleon engine is strong. We have to search out exactly what you want, excuse me, exactly what you want when you want, and also doubling up as an attacker, even having a secondary stage 2 in the quick shooting. Make no mistake about it, quick shooting is an incredible card in its own right. Will we see a boss's orders onto... This would be interesting. Onto the Greninja. That has a 1 retreat cost. Interesting. I wonder why he chose that. I guess the Palkia can just start swinging, maybe.
Yeah, everything's got a 1 retreat cost.
Oh, true. Good point, actually.
In this, in the Inteleon lines. So, yeah, that Greninja is going to be in the active spot. There is a scoop up net, I believe, but maybe all of them have been used because it was used on the Shady Dealings Inteleon. So a lot of questions to be asked here for Magnus, and that boss is just asking one more question.
Yes.
Can you do it? And the Articuno is key to the knockout on the Lugia. Right now, that Lugia, though, has 10 HP left. So it is just 1 quick shooting away. So actually, the Articuno, I think, has done its job.
Yes, I think you can just quick shoot in, boss up the Lugia, and I think, yeah, there's the quick shooting. 2 prizes. He doesn't take the ordinary rod, obviously, but I don't think that matters too much. Oh, well, I thought that a concession now.
Oh, was that a quick shooting addition to the Lugia, which was not added just before the... Oh, no, there was... Both quick shootings have been used this turn, so 40 on that Lugia is going to be getting the Evolution Incense and the Capacious Bucket out with the Shady Dealings Inteleon. So that's going to get the Palkia VStar.
Yep.
And the Capacious Bucket might be draw with the Greninja.
There's the boss. That's game, right?
That's game.
With the subspace swell, you can just pay retreat, star portal. That's game.
That's game.
Surely.
Incredible. And there we go.
That is game, right? I've done my math. There's no V-Guard or anything knocking about. No V-Guard. That's definitely, surely that's KO with the Choice Belt.
With the Choice Belt, because there is 9 Pokemon in play. That's 180
that's
plus 60, 240. And there's 4 damage counters
for
the quick shooting.
Wow! What a fit. Both Articuno, the emergency jelly, which I guess isn't actually too useful without any Articunos, but 1 copy of Palkia again, and the copy of Irida. That is some disastrous prize cards for Magnus. And without the opportunity, at least outside of finding the heavy ball, of starting this Articuno, I'll be intrigued to see how Magnus opts to play this game. Really opt to maybe just go down a normal Palkia Inteleon route for a bit to try and take some prize cards, or really try and prioritize getting the heavy ball and going back into the Articuno. Very interesting to see so far. Yeah,
and I think Gunter's going to try and find a different route here, because last one didn't work that well. That Bird Keeper came in at the right moment, kept the Lugia to evolve, but it was never really an option. Can we think back to all those little moments, putting that Lugia forward, saying, well, I can just evolve this and get rid of that paralysis. But then the Serena came out and said, nope, I didn't let you choose. I choose who I get to knock out.
This is my game, not yours.
And so everything was in control there. And the Ultra Ball for 2 Archeops, that is the dream start there for Lugia. And Magnus at this point, he's probably played enough Lugia to know how to come back from these moments, but maybe not with 2 Articuno in the prizes, because that is quite unlikely.
Yeah, no, we did see Magnus operate, with 1 Articuno in the last game, and then, but yeah, Archis is saying, right, let's see how you deal with 2 Articuno in the prize. Now, it's not all doom and gloom. Now, there is a copy of Hisuian in Heavy Ball, so we can get at least 1 out. So yeah, I'd be intrigued to see. His hand does have the Irida in, so the VIP Battle Pass will be an option. Here we see the Luminion being used really early, so that means there is going to be potentially no way to immediately find the Bird Keeper, because now you have to just draw into it. And we do know that Lugia V-Star doesn't have any sort of Pokemon-based draw. There is no Mincino, there is no Crobat, so that Bird Keeper will have to just be manually drawn into, and that could be interesting.
Yeah, there might be a route where he looks to attack with the Luminion. Maybe that's his strategy. And Luminion has been an attacker in Lugia because he got those Aurora Energy, so it is an opportunity to attack. And especially in 1 prize matchups, it's a great attacker because it gets a V Pokemon off the board.
Yes.
And so you can promote whatever Pokemon you don't mind getting knocked out afterwards. And considering the capture energy attachment to it as well, I think that might be linked into the game plan here. But now you've got to see what Magnus does considering the circumstance. That Irida is going to instantly tell him those Articuno aren't there.
Yeah, so let's have a look, see if we can spot the expressions here at home, Buzz. He's just going to have
I thought that was him deck checking and realising there was no Articuno already, but it was just the wire getting in the way.
Yeah, I thought that as well. But like, well, that's this game over.
That was quick.
So yeah, I'd be intrigued to see what route he goes on. Does he like just go Palk Intel at this point? Does he, try and go 1 prizes, then try and drizzle off with the Hisuian heavy ball and get back involved that way? Like, there's still some open-ended gameplay, and that's something that the sort of internal engine lets you do, right? It lets you just be flexible with your game plans at a whim. So
he's getting energy to the front just in preparation for a Capacious Bucket Greninja combo, I'd assume. A lovely combination with the Irida. You get Greninja out, you get Capacious Bucket, you get your 2 water, so you can start drawing into cards you need, especially if your starting hand isn't quite got everything in it you'd want. Being able to draw into stuff early on is key. And no disruption for that, no path to the peak to worry about, which is definitely a concern now for Greninja with the amount of path that's going around.
Yeah.
But not in this matchup.
So, so we do see Irida. Also, not for the VIP Battle Pass, actually. So just for the Greninja and the Capacious Bucket. I guess you can do, keep calling for the Sobble, actually. I guess considering there is no, might not want to put the power kit down yet, and there is no Articuno, maybe thinking that VIP Battle Pass might not be the best option. Just want to flood the board with Sobbles, in which case I don't need the VIP Battle Pass at that point. Yeah, maybe the Raihan into an Inteleon attacking route might be more useful at this stage, so getting water into the discard pile could be useful. That Capacious Bucket will allow him to draw and see more options, and maybe some of those options are useful ones for next turn. So we see that Choice Belt and was it the Ice Cube? I think. Yeah, so that Ice Cube, not ideal. It's going to be a quick ball fodder maybe. Yeah, we see it straight away removed from play, and that's going to be. I guess maybe the Palkia at this point might come out if we see the keep calling, but it might just be a full Sobble base route. You can see him just getting Sobbles prepped to the front of the deck in preparation for keep calling. So probably the Palkia off of this quick ball and then the 3 Sobbles off of the keep calling. Yeah, I did have a feeling that the Palkia would have to come down and have to start making some offensive threat. And I think Gunter would be excited to see at this point. There's no Articuno, showing itself. And that's a nice clip of that Raihan, I think from Silver Tempest, I believe, Trainer Gallery. And yeah, I think if you're Gunter, I think you must feel a little bit excited at this point. You think, okay, I can win this game. There is no Articunos, at least for now, and that Palkia does give up 2 prize cards. I wonder if at this point Gunter's thinking, oh, the Articunos are prized. Yeah, no, yeah. I think surely he would have played it otherwise. Yeah, I think at that point you have to think, right, if he didn't take the VIP and he quick balls for the Palkia instead of an Articuno, you have to imagine maybe they are prized, and that would be music to my ears if I was Gunter. After that last game, anyway, having said pass enough times after the paralysis, definitely will be feeling the effect of that paralysis from the wild freeze. But Oranguru in the active now, so it needs a way to retreat, which is available through the Archeops potentially. Needs to get the Lugia VStar. So there is still quite a lot for the Lugia deck to find. There is an Ultra Ball in hand there, which can get out the Lugia VStar. Both Archeops are ready in the discard pile, so just going to try and go through the typical flowing pattern of a Lugia V-Star. That Oranguru great at putting energy back into the deck, because I think there was quite a lot of energy in his hand there, which he might want to get out later on with the Archeops. And an Evolution Incense, a much better way to get the Lugia V-Star into play, because that Ultra Ball can find basics as well. Yeah, it's going to be a pretty good ops to go for the Archeops. So I'm guessing he must have a Lugia V-Star in hand already. If maybe he wants to use it to thin with the Ultra Ball. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so there's the Ultra Ball getting rid of Archeops. And was that a Charizard? Yeah, Charizard's probably not too useful in this matchup, I guess in theory it could still care with Palkia V-Star with a Choice Belt, but I guess it is weak to water though. Yeah, 1 hit from the paralysis Articuno would put it 1 quick shooting away, so that would be a great swing turn for the Articuno, where you had to just do 1 attack, knock it out next turn, and already have sprinkled quick shooting elsewhere while you're doing that. So yeah, both Archeops now on the bench through that Summoning Star ability of the Lugia V-Star. And the V-Star, is that people love to mix up the V-Star token here at events. We see the very traditional one on Magnus's side, and I think that was a sleeved card with V-Star written on it. I believe it was, yeah. So, are we going to see an attack with the Oranguru, actually? I'm guessing the way this has been set up, I expect to see maybe a retreat, Aqua return, and promotion back into the Oranguru, but so we're going to see the old whap down. Don't get to say that one too often. 3 for 70. Yeah, Oranguru, still a solid attack, isn't it? Yeah, it is. It gets the job done against low HP Sobbles, that's for sure. And these are 1 prizer in the active, and I just love the idea of watching an Oranguru run up to a Sobble and just bang, whack down, sent to the discard file. Yeah, I mean a double dip Fang would have been quite nice at this stage, but then that was the potential fear of revealing that too early.
While there's a lot of Sobble in play, it might be a route to go down and start getting the gusting off.
Yeah, I guess in theory the Stoutland could have been cool, taking 2 prizes, but then the Palkia definitely responds on that, take 2 prizes straight back. So, you know, peaks and troughs, I guess. And we do see the retreat actually. Was that the retreat? Someone haven't had to hit the discard pile. Yeah, so we do see the retreat. And I wonder if we'll see the Aqua return.
No whap down.
Yeah, no whap down. I was excited. I was getting ready to say whap down there. You don't get that one too often. But I wonder if we see the Aqua return, what would it be the promotion? Probably the Oranguru, I imagine.
The advantage with the Aqua return is you do get to put energy back in the deck.
Yes.
You do get to put the Luminium back in the deck, so access later on as a Pokemon search for the Bird Keeper if it's needed. So a smart idea to put Luminium back into the deck.
And then the promotion into the Manaphy makes perfect sense there. So that's a 1 prize that you really do not care about in this matchup. So.
Yeah, I mean, the Greninja and the Inteleon, the Shady Dealing Inteleon's attacks, the Manaphy will block them, but they're not going to be hitting the right numbers in this matchup, really. They really like the low hit points Pokemons, like your Sobbles, like your Comfeys, your ones that are lower than 90 hit points.
So back over to Magnus, he starts to summon that Capacious Bucket. What a really good card for these water decks. Right, Magnus just grab 2 water energies from the deck. Works perfectly with cards like Greninja. Works perfectly with cards like Palkia, so you can just star portal them back into play. And just shows the inherent strength of Lugia, that Lugia has the power to make such a crazy deck like Palkia at least die down for at least a week, right? Palkia was, I believe, the bit different in the last format, best deck in format in Lost Origin, and Lugia just said, no, not for now.
Well, it kind of got caught in the crossfire, didn't it, of everyone trying out lightning attackers to counter Lugia. And now the lightning attackers have kind of disappeared. Like, Raikou is really not that good against Lugia. People were, praising it at the start, but there was nothing it could really hit on the bench that would gain the value. And that really hurt Palkia. As we see the choice belt on, there's enough water in the discard pile to activate with Star Portal. So knockout is possible here. Will it do enough damage?
Can you get a knockout? Can you get a knockout on the Lugia with the choice belt? If you fill your bench, is that a KO? I'm not
if
really
you fill your bench, but the opponent doesn't, you would definitely need quick shooting to finish it off. Maybe that's something leaves for the future.
Maybe. Let's see what this Shady Dealings off the Drizzle grabs. That might be able to, because I think that I saw the Serena in hand, so we wouldn't need to grab a Bostos or Serena off anything. So let's see what this is. This takes an Evolution Incense. We might actually see.
I think it was a Rare Candy.
I think Rare Candy was in hand, so we might actually see that play lined up here. Quick shooting, Star Portal, Serena into Lugia and just ejecting it from play. I think. Let's have a look. Oh, I think the Shady Inteleon might be in hand as well.
Okay, so there is another Drizzle. So that final Sobble needs to remain unevolved for the Rare Candy activation.
Yeah.
But this is the advantage of playing such a thick Inteleon line early on. Getting all 4 Sobble down opens up so many opportunities to... we see the Heavy Ball coming out.
Oh, interesting.
So now that Articuno is an option, so the Evolution Incense is going to be played, and it's going to find that Inteleon, the quick shooting Inteleon. And with 4 on the bench for Gunter, that plus the 5 on the bench for Magnus, that will do 240, plus the choice belt, 270, plus a quick shooting ping would be 290. So the knockout on the Lugia VStar is possible. We need the Gust, and we need, I think...
A quick shooting as well.
The quick shooting is come down with the Rare Candy, but we believe that's all in hand. So
I believe so. Yeah,
this could be a huge knockout right now, and it would mean there'll be no return knockout from Lugia V-Star. It would have to be from something like a Yveltal it would have to be found first and then powered up.
Yeah, and I think there was a couple of Aurora Energy prized as well, so there might actually be a bit hard to get that Yveltal. But also has to get the Yveltal and get a Retreater as well, because that... Oranguru has a 2 retreat cost, so that can't retreat at this moment in time. So
my goodness, it's happening.
This could be an outrageous little turn here. So
still no supporter played for turn.
No, so there's the Star Portal, 2 energies there, 1 on the Drizzile.
So that could potentially be for a Shady Dealings and Inteleon attack in the future. May also just be to have it on board as a switch out. Still got a chance to attach. That goes to the Articuno. And there we see the Gust. The Serena is coming in. Lugia V-Star into the active. Quick shooting onto that Lugia V-Star. Will put it in range of a choice-belted Palkia V-Star with 9 bench Pokemon. What a knockout.
Wow, you guys can't see us right now. We both are smiling ear to ear watching this Magnus coming out from outrageous prize cards and potentially, you know, doing really well here. Wait, is this, the judge wanted to read that, I believe.
I think the judge just wants to do the maths just to be sure, because he's probably as flabbergasted as we are to hit that 290.
Wow.
You know, I think as well, we've got 4 bench Pokemon on the side of Gunter trying to play around that, but the rare candy burst of the quick shooting Inteleon into play is something that you don't expect him to hit, but through the Drizzile chaining and what was in the hand already, that's why those early concealed cards are so vital, because you start to get some of the options.
That's it. Build some part of the puzzle. And there everything just fell right off Magnus. Had the rare candy, had the Serena, meaning that the Shadians can grab, you know, this and that, and Gunter's in an interesting position. Now we could, like you said, we could see that Yvette will come down. Stoutland probably isn't that... Well, Stoutland doesn't really do anything at this point, because I think we saw 2 powerfuls be attached and one's in the prizes anyway. So Stoutland isn't going to do anything. I think it does have to be the Yvettle. What did he play? 4 Aurora, 1 Hiding. So we got
that Articuno still to come. We haven't had a single paralysis yet, and prizes have started being taken. The Emergency Jelly and Articuno are the next 2 prizes likely to be taken as well. That heavy ball was taken off the prizes last time, so the Articuno
can be found.
Be found through that. So these options are opening up for Magnus with this early aggression from the Palkia VStar. You know, people might be wondering, why do you not just play a straight Articuno deck? And this is exactly why. Palkia VStar is still an incredibly powerful Pokemon in this current meta. To hit those bigger numbers and to be able to surge that much water into play should not be undervalued.
So it looks like off this Ultra Ball search, he prioritising Yvettle, but he's thinking about Lugia, Yvettle, and a Lumineon as potential targets. Here he takes the Lugia. Now this is interesting, because he does have energy in hand, so I think he can get to the Amazing Destruction this turn. It should be possible. But let's have a think. What is he thinking about here? Show us the hand. Oh, okay.
I mean, he probably didn't expect to be in this board state right now. After doing that Lumineon, he'd be thinking, I'll be able to take 1 hit. Maybe I'll need my Bird Keeper to get out of a paralysis if that's an option. Well, he hasn't shown an Articuno yet. I wonder what's going to happen there. Oh, your Palkia can knock me out. Yeah,
all of a sudden, you're going from, all right, there's no paralysis this game, I'm chilling, to my Lugia's gone and the Articuno's there as well. So it's like, all of a sudden, what a swing turn. And it's like Gunter is resolving a Primal Turbo here.
Is that a whap down prep?
Yeah, so... so there was going to be no Yveltal this turn then, because Primal Turbo's needs go into Yveltal. So we could just see a little whap down, and I guess this 3rd prize isn't really too impactful for Magnus to take, I believe. I'm not sure, but...
Well, Gunter's taken 1 prize already with that first Sobble, so he might be able to target something that's a 1 prizer maybe on the bench with the whap down.
Maybe,
so maybe he's going to look to go for perhaps even like the Articuno to put it in range of knocking itself out with paralysis. I don't know, maybe a Sobble. With the powerful Colourless, maybe the Drizzile's within range. So lots of decisions here. Needing that boss's orders to get any of those. The Serena not working on any of those single prizes we mentioned.
Here we see a Marnie.
Okay.
Wow, interesting. So what do we see on the Lugia, the Primal Turbo? V-Guard and the Capture. There's not going to be any Yvettal action, at least not now. So this Palkia is going to, live to fight another day, as it were. And maybe now we'll get to announce Whap Down. Didn't get to do it last time. I wonder what Gunter got there after Marnie. So we see... What is this being played? An Eve. Oh, a Collapse. Oh, that's interesting. What will Magnus choose to discard here? I imagine... Sobble seems like the best bet, or maybe Greninja actually. Yeah, I think Greninja might be the... Okay, Greninja's gone.
Not useful at this stage. You've got everything you need. And we saw last game, the key was to just keep chaining those Drizzile, and that was getting everything out of the deck that was needed. And after a Marnie, it's not going to be as easy for Magnus. Last game, we didn't see any disruption to Magnus's hand. He was able to just do exactly what he wants.
Yeah.
Whereas now we do see Magnus in a position. The damage is reduced by that Collapse Stadium. The only stadium bounce that's available is the training court.
And there we see the choice belted Whap Down. That is a ground-shaking, earth-shattering 100 damage.
I think it might have a powerful Colourless on there.
Has it got a powerful?
There's 1 on there, so that's going to be 120 actually.
Oh, so it... Whoa.
That was from right at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, you're right. No, you are correct. Yeah. So Oranguru is saying, hold a second, let me come and save you, Gunter, and just bang.
That's the most powerful whap down ever happened in the TCG.
Oh, is he a boss's orders? Is this a KO on this as well? That's got a V-Guard on it, though, so that's got 250 HP.
I mean, there's 4 bench Pokemon on either side, so that's going to be 160 plus 60, 220, so with a quick shooting ping.
Oh, yeah, the quick shoot. Yeah, doesn't even need it. Got the choice belt. Whoa, this is getting crazy. So He'll go down to 2 prize cards, takes the emergency jelly, I imagine, and the Articuno out of the prize cards, and the color and the collapse stage might actually limit Gunter a little bit here, meaning that if he wants to go down the route of using Luminion or Yveltal, we can't do them both. So the stadium might come to bite, and yeah, that is a KO by the looks of it. Magnus Pedersen, oh my goodness gracious me, we have a game.
Are we going to see another whap down here? I mean, 120 is not enough to get the 2-hit knockout, so that Palkia, very hard to knock out here. And I mean, even if you start powering up the Archeops, that's not going to be enough. So, do you know what? It's in a weird kind of way, and I hope Gunter doesn't take this personally. It's quite nice to see Lugia being locked out like this. Just because, you know, after seeing it do so well at LAIC, it felt like there was no way to counter it. And the creativity that brings out of the Pokemon trading card game community is what we're seeing right here. And throughout this last week, people have been coming up with strategies. We mentioned Judge being a counter to the Oranguru. We're now seeing Paralysis brought in. We've seen a lot of lists like we saw in the last game, Joe Bernard using the Raihan route with the Snorlax to try and counter Stoutland. So everyone is focusing on what can I do to beat this deck. And the creativity it's brought out in people has come out with beautiful decks like what we're seeing here with Magnus.
100%. Yeah, we've even seen Durant over there in Brisbane as well. Like, obviously, people are going crazy with it. We actually see the quick ball, or an ultra ball, I should say, for the Lugia V. Interesting one there, so we're definitely not going to see Yveltal, though we could see this Palkia get KO'd, actually. How much damage does this Lugia V do? 130. It's taken 120, so I think that, is that a KO? No, we live on 10, I believe, right?
Well, it's also a double turbo energy attached.
Oh, true, good
point, that's going to take away another 20. So with a choice belt, it's still well within range of surviving, and you know, the options that are available to Gunter now are so limited, and with the amount of prizes taken, we saw last game, Magnus came back when he had 6 prizes left, and Gunter had 2. So the fact that there's going to be 2 prizes left for Magnus to take, with that game plan of locking out, you know, the Bird Keeper hasn't been played yet, but that game plan of locking out the opponent through paralysis is still available. 120 damage from the Shady Dealings and Teleon is still good with a bit of 20 damage sprinkle. You know, the Manaphy was the target.
And there's
quick
the
shooting.
concession, I think, because time's been called. Gunter realising he has no...